Good morning and welcome to the Recovery Report Live this week from Texas, home of the world champion Texas Rangers. I had to say that. I'm Rob Bowlby, president of GlobalPro Texas, and we're here with our usual weekly recovery report to tell you, give tips and tips and ideas to homeowners, to commercial real estate owners about how to protect their property and how to recover from loss or damage. So two things I want to kick off talking about today. One, Texas is known for its Southern hospitality, and we usually try to find a way to work things out with people. And so, for what we do as advocates for policyholders, whether they be residential or commercial, we're often on the other side of the insurance company, always on the other side of the insurance company, working to settle claims. And that's always portrayed as a really contentious relationship. And usually the insurance industry doesn't have anything good to say about what we do, particularly down in our home state of Florida. But I recently came across this article of an amicus brief filed by the American Property Casualty Insurance Association, the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies, and the Insurance Council of Texas. And I wanted to read this quote directly because I thought it was really good. A public insurance adjuster is a legally recognized advocate for the policyholder. Texas insurance companies regularly work cooperatively with public insurance adjusters to bring an amicable and prompt resolution to claims. At times, there are disagreements between insurance companies and public insurance adjusters as to the actual scope of damage and cost to repair, but as licensed and regulated professionals, most Texas public insurance adjusters acknowledge and respect their fiduciary role in being able to act as a claim advocate for Texas policyholders. They generally behave professionally and responsibly in the insurance claims process. Guys, it's one of the reasons I love being in Texas. That's our goal, is to be able to promptly resolve claims for our policyholders and to make sure they can restore their property to pre-loss condition. And I think we do it well here in Texas. I'll contrast that to what the insurance industry is saying in Florida, blaming roofing contractors, claims advocates, remediation companies. They're blaming everybody else for the run-up in insurance rates, and certainly not looking to themselves. So it's good to see that here in Texas. But speaking of advocacy, the other article I wanted to talk about was a recent article that came out in Forbes magazine about homeowners not being aware of what's in their policy. The headline of it was 72% of homeowners don't understand the essentials of their insurance coverage. So that the biggest statistic there was 72% don't know that their homeowner's policy features liability insurance. If your dog bites somebody, bites a neighbor, that's generally covered under your liability insurance policy. 72% also think their homeowner's insurance policy pays for damage to vehicles that occurs on their residence premises. That's not true. It generally doesn't pay for coverage to vehicles. 40% don't know that if they have a kitchen fire, that is covered under their homeowner insurance. And 20% think it covers flood. So a lot of misconceptions about what people think insurance covers and what it doesn't cover. That's one of the roles of having a claim advocate. It's the first thing we do when we sign a contract with a new policyholder is we request a certified copy of the policy from the insurance company. We do that for a couple reasons. We want to make sure, one, we fully understand the coverage and can explain that to the policyholder so that they ensure they're getting all of the benefits under their policy. And second, we've actually had it happen before where the policyholder's copy of the policy is not the same as what the insurance company has on file. So I mentioned our great state of Texas when we started, but the other interesting thing about Texas is the weather is always extreme here. So we went about 50 days without rain this summer, and then we got all of that rain just in about the past week. I think we got around 12 inches of rain here in about a 36-hour period. And when that happens, it really exposes the quality of people's roofs. And so we've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of new claims, a lot of inquiries about water damage to people's homes. And that has all came in through the roof because of either faulty roof construction or more likely from hail damage. We've had quite a series of large storms in Texas. So I thought it would be great to bring on a roofing expert to talk a little bit about protecting your home and what to do with your roof through these coming winter months. So we've got Logan Hoffman, who's the owner of Peak Advantage Roofing. He's joining us today on the Recovery Report. We hope to have him here live, but we couldn't get that to work logistically. So Logan is joining us for his home. So Logan, welcome. And to kick us off, tell us a little bit about Peak Advantage and how you got into the roofing business.
Yeah, of course. So I've always had somewhat of an entrepreneurial spirit. My dad's always had multiple businesses while I was growing up. I always wanted to be like him. He recently found his niche in real estate and became a broker and noticed a strong need for a solid roofer. They're hard to come by, and a lot of his homeowners were just reaching out to him. He was passing them on to other roofers and didn't feel comfortable sending them to them. So what I did was went and got a licensed an insurance adjuster. So I got my toes wet on that side. And I'll be the first to tell you, to touch on what you were saying earlier, that they are not trained well. I was out in the field with basically minimal knowledge, trying to make coverage claims for these homeowners that it just wasn't accurate. I learned a whole bunch in my 2 years doing that. Traveled all over the country chasing hail. Met a lot of people, met a lot of roofers, and learned a lot of what to do and what not to do as far as taking care of homeowners and filing claims. Then I came home. We started the roofing company, and it's been going great. Like you said, we've had a lot of hail this year, so we've stayed busy. And this past week has been insane with people calling about leaks. Like you said, it exposed that this week.
Yeah, and you know what? I'd completely forgotten we had that conversation when we first met, that you did some time with one of the large carriers as an insurance adjuster. And Logan and I were in a software trading class together, and we got about 4 days in, and he said, "This is more training than I got at 2 weeks at my insurance carrier."
Oh, yeah.
So you mentioned hail. Tell us a little bit about hail. What factors are important, and how do you document that damage? Kind of what do you look at when you look at a roof and determine, yes, there's hail damage, and we need to actually do something here, or it's what the insurance company loves to classify as cosmetic?
Okay, so I'll touch on two things. There's what the insurance company is looking for, which is large bruises. They're looking for a certain amount. Each carrier is different. They're looking from anywhere from 8 to 12 hits in a 10 by 10 square. Now, what is considered a bruise is very, what should we say here?
Ambiguous.
Yes, yeah. So it's up for interpretation, that's for sure. But one thing that people don't account for is the quantity of hail. So if you have a bunch of pea-sized hail that's being wind driven and it's knocking all your granules off, you're losing a lot of years off of your roof when you're losing that many granules. But as far as documenting goes, we have to find large hail hits for these insurance companies, and large is again ambiguous, like you said. So when we get up there and we document, we're using company cam. So as soon as I get up on the roof, I'm taking overview photos. We're doing our test square. We're finding how many hail hits we personally see, and then I'm sending that to the homeowner immediately, as well as if we feel the need to bring in a public adjuster, we're sending that to you as well. What was your other question for that? Cosmetic damage?
Yeah. So what's, as we have battled some of these, there's always the fallback that, well, that's real cosmetic damage. It's not real damage. I mean, kind of, and if you're a homeowner, you probably don't know the difference. As a roofer, what do you, not what the insurance company calls cosmetic damage, because it's all cosmetic damage, but what do you consider cosmetic versus real damage that's increasing the likelihood that you could have a water intrusion in the next 12 to 24 months?
So that's exactly it. It's basically what's not considered cosmetic is if it's affects your roof's ability to shed water. That's verbatim how the insurance companies are teaching their guys, and that's what we do as well. And the life of your roof is also an important factor. So you want to look at those two things. Is my roof shedding water like it was designed to do? Or did this hailstorm come in and impact that in a certain way that now my roof's not shedding water like it should, or like it was not or was before? Is the main thing you need to be looking at.
Okay. Well, so as a homeowner, so obviously, like if there's a big hailstorm, I know your company and many others are very proactive in contacting homeowners and say, hey, you got hit. Can we come up and take a look at your roof? But as a homeowner, how often should you get on your own roof? Should you get on your own roof? And what are you looking for when you get up there?
So personally, I would say do not get up on your own roof. You can have a roofer come out and do a free inspection for you. Almost every roofer offers a free inspection. I don't know any that don't. Most roofers are going to get up there and tell you you have damage, so make sure you get one that you trust. But I would not suggest getting up there. If you have a decent hailstorm, you think, hey, there might be some damage up there. It's worth having a professional come out, check it out, go over it with you, ask as many questions as you want. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm always open to questions. I love talking insurance. I love talking anything to do with roofing. So no, I would suggest not getting on your roof. I would suggest calling a professional. There's no sense in getting up there yourself unless you're just you just need to. If you do get up there, you're looking for granules in the gutter. That's a clear sign that a lot of your granules have been knocked off. You also
Okay.
see them at the downspouts. The granules will run down your gutter, run out the downspout. If you have a whole bunch of granules in your yard or in your driveway, then you know you have some hail damage up there. And then also you're going to look for what is a bruise, is what the insurance calls, and it looks like a black circle anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches, and it's an impact point, and they're very clear to see when they hit.
Okay. So as we move into the freezing season, which ironically seems to be coming a little earlier this year. I keep hearing we're supposed to have a really hard winter this year in Texas. And I know
Yeah.
it usually starts getting real about the first week of December, but this week we've actually been under a freeze warning one of the nights this week. So the cold weather seems to be coming a little bit earlier. But what do homeowners need to be thinking about, whether it's, fall, we have a lot of leaves dropping, do those clog up gutters? Do you have ice issues? I mean, what kind of, are there any preventive measures homeowners can do to kind of get ready?
Yeah, of course. So as you touched on, gutter cleanings are great. You don't want clogged gutters. That water is going to back up and freeze and potentially seep back into your roof. Also, you want to make sure your trees are trimmed back up off of your roof. I get on a lot of roofs, and you'll see where limbs have been dragging across the roof. And this time of year, we get a lot of wind. And so that's going to, over time, it's going to wear your shingles out. And that's something that insurance sometimes will not cover because it happened over time. And it was something that could have been prevented by trimming your trees back, checking your gutters, and just having somebody come out and inspect it before the winter. Because when we get ice, or when you get water and freezing temperatures, that water will seep into places and expand, and just like your roads will crack, and you'll start getting potholes when water freezes and expands. Same thing with your roof. It's going to cause holes. It's going to cause more areas where water can get in when it rains.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So one thing we see a lot, especially when we're doing residential claims and they're older homes, we know, just like any other industry, you learn new stuff every year. Technology advances, new methods of repair come out. And so a lot of times there's, what is now understood as the proper method of repair or the proper method of reconstruction, but that wasn't how the house was built. And so one of the
Right.
things we end up arguing about with adjusters, with insurance companies, is getting the proper method of reconstruction covered versus what was initially there. Insurance is just really going
Of
to
course.
pay for what was actually there before. Sometimes you can, depending on the carrier, sometimes you can get a little push to get some additional material to get to the proper method of construction. But a lot of times it's like, well, we agree with you. That's the proper method, but that's not what was there before. What has changed in roofing over the past few years? What kind of technologies or processes are you doing now that you don't see when you go see a house from the 1990s or early 2000s?
Yeah. So all of these older homes, they have 15 or 30 pound felt, which is just not. It's not near as good as synthetic felt. Synthetic felt is way better at keeping water out, as well as ice and water shield in the valleys. Your valleys are where you have a lot of issues. Leaves will pile up in there, which kind of creates a rotting situation on your shingles. It's another good reason to have somebody clean your gutters and clean the valleys out of leaves. That ice and water shield is very important. We don't, even if the insurance isn't covering it, we're putting it down. Same thing with synthetic felt. They're paying for the 15 pound builder grade felt or whatever was used to begin with. And those are the two things that are very important: synthetic felt and ice and water shield on any roof that you're repairing or completely replacing.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to move to commercial for just a second because I know you guys do commercial as well. Tell me about this. So, you're talking about some of the things we see a lot for homeowners for residential roofs. Tell me about some of the challenges you see with commercial roofing or some of the different kind of aspects when you go out and walk a commercial roof.
Yeah, so commercial roofs, you're going to have a lot of electricians, HVAC techs. They get a lot more foot traffic than your residential homes. And these HVAC techs and electricians, they do not specialize in roofing. So they may be uh, puncturing your roof to install new lighting or new electrical or new HVAC, and that's where we see a lot of issues are these penetrations and not being sealed properly. So it's important to have a roofer follow up behind any tech you have come out and make sure that they're doing things correctly. And if they're not, come up with a solution on how to repair it. So routine checks, I suggest every 6 months on commercial roofs at a minimum, at least a year, but every 6 months biannually would be ideal for these commercial roofs.
All right, that's a really good point. I think we've actually had a roof claim that we did a long battle over, a commercial roof claim, because we were arguing from a hail perspective. We had the date of the storm, we had the size of the hail, but they were
Yeah.
arguing that the contractor had, the HVAC contractor had punctured the roof, and that was a not that specific contractor, but that construction defect or poor workmanship was not covered under the policy. So that was
Yeah,
one we had to fight. So that's a really good point to have somebody come out and walk your roof anytime you've had other contractors on top of your roof.
yeah, you don't want to give the insurance any ammo. Storms come through. If they have an out, they're going to use it. So if they can blame
Oh yeah,
another contractor, if they're going to blame another contractor, that's what they're going to try to do. So it's good to follow up, cross all your T's and dot your I's. That way you can debate that.
yeah. Okay, so now we've talked about all of kind of the aspects of roof construction. So then you've got a little bit of a background in insurance claims, and so I know a lot of
Yeah.
times the homeowner just wants to turn it over to you to try to sell the insurance company on it. What are some of the issues you see of getting roof replacements approved?
Untrained adjusters is our biggest problem. They come out, they don't really know what they're looking at. They just got trained last week. They're sent out on a cat storm. Here they are on your roof trying to debate with the roofer what should be repaired and what shouldn't. And then following that is they send an estimate. It's subpar. We follow up with supplements, and then it's a whole battle after that. And so I'm sure on the public adjusting side, you'll see that, and that's a lot of why we turn to y'all for situations like this, because y'all are good at handling the insurance company and quite frankly have more capabilities of talking with them policy and situations like that. I think, as a roofer, you have to train, or you have to educate the homeowner as well as the adjuster sometimes. And then after you finally get the adjuster to pay for it, then you have to educate the homeowner as to why they need to do all these repairs. So that's a lot of our battle is just educating, which is what we're doing today. So that's always good.
Yep. Yeah, you have a lot of constituents to sell. I understand that. Sometimes we do as well, and I'm glad you said that part about the issues when you have the adjuster first come up there. I know for those of you watching at home, we've got the Call Us First logo in the top of the screen, and that's one of the reasons we always say to do that is because, first of all, a lot of you've got either an untrained adjuster. I think your adjusters fall into three categories. Untrained is one. I hate to say it, but a very small percentage of them are just lazy.
Right.
But I think the biggest category you have is as insurance companies get leaner and leaner and leaner, they saddle each adjuster with dozens, if in some cases hundreds of claims, and so they
Oh yeah.
just don't have the capacity to do a thorough investigation of damage. And so that's one of the reasons you want to have an advocate, because we come out with our own in-house adjuster estimator, and he does a very thorough investigation of the damage. We can come out multiple times. We can spend hours out there really making sure that all of the damage is uncovered. Whereas an untrained adjuster or an overworked adjuster is going to try to be in and out of that property, whether it's commercial or residential, as quick as possible. And so that's why we always say, call us first. If we have a good idea of the damage, then one, we can walk that adjuster through the scope of it and save him or her a lot of time and say, hey, here's what we're including in our estimate. Here's what you need to be cognizant of. And also a lot of them say, hey, this all looks good to me. Send me your estimate and we'll work off of that. And when that happens, we tend to settle claims a lot faster and a lot closer to our initial estimate.
100%. You're taking a lot of the workload off of them, and I'm sure some of them appreciate it. Some of them don't. Some of them they want to fight public adjusters all day. They enjoy that work.
Some people
That
just
wasn't.
like to fight.
Yeah, it's a good. If you like to fight, being an insurance adjuster is a good job.
Yes, it is. Okay, well, let's finish with this, Logan. Tell us where we can learn more about Peak Advantage Roofing.
Yeah, so you can reach me at my phone number, which is 817-690-6605. We have TikTok and Facebook as well, and as well as our website, peakadvantageroofing.com.
Well, I appreciate you being on with us today. As you noted, this has been a big week for the roofing business. Just all of that rain, it really exposes when people have either shoddy workmanship or they've had damage to their roof. They've just never, to Logan's point, been up there every 6 months or every year to see what's happened. And so this is when you figure it out. So thank you for being with us today, Logan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, everyone. Well, as always, we appreciate having folks on Recovery Report Live. I learn something every time I do this show. So I learned a little bit about synthetic felt today. I also learned that anytime you're going to have a contractor on a commercial roof, you should follow up by having a roofing inspector on there. That's good advice. And that's the reason we do this show, to help all of our constituents, our commercial policyholders, our residential policyholders, so that they can avoid loss or damage. But when it happens, we know you should call us first. Thank you for being with us today on Recovery Report Live, and have a great week.